I don't know if you're aware of it, but I'm working on a graphic novel right now of Longhair and Doubledome. And so, a lot of the gags are similar in that way. I've figured in a lot more. Like, for instance, and I'm giving up something here, but Longhair has a thought balloon, and he has thoughts. Doubledome doesn't know what it is. He can't tell, like, what is, he can see what he's saying when he says it, but he can't see what he's thinking. And so it drives him nuts throughout the whole entire graphic novel, that it's like, one, he can't think, and two, it's like, what is that cloud? We have gags, that are situated, that are either making fun of the novel, or the whole idea of cartoon, comic strips.
I mean, the characters are amazing, but I think that's like the real brilliance of Longhair and Doubledome. You take a simple concept and just make it spectacular on screen.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But you're right. I mean, simple is better. I mean, simple is easier to make complex. I mean, it's hard. So there's low concept and high concept. The high concept is simple. Low concept is kind of Game of Thrones. It's really hard to describe Game of Thrones in a sentence. So, and it's not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just that it's a big world. Cartoons are small worlds. They're tiny. They're a family. They're a burger shop. You know they're people at their regular jobs. Now the world expands if the thing grows, if it continues, but it doesn't grow all that much. I mean, you're not going to, on SpongeBob SquarePants, you're not going to have a whole episode without him in it. For the most part, he's going to be in it somewhere, most likely. I mean, it's a one-off if that happens, right? You're not going to develop the story of Patrick and go and then follow this whole storyline and how he became Patrick and all this. No, you're not going to do that. So
Mhm.
it's a small world, and to do a lot with little is sometimes really challenging, and also can build a really nice solid, like, it's almost like collapsing matter. It ends up being really solid and hard, as opposed to just willy-nilly and everywhere, right?
Definitely agree with you. And just yeah, man, that first, I mean, we're about to jump into the second one, but that first pilot, man, is absolutely just those scenes, man, when they're trying to get across to that fruit, and he just keeps falling,
I mean,
and like,
again, that's a kind of a Warner, that's kind of my Warner Brothers, kind of, the Coyote type kind of things. But we tried to be, I think those make me laugh. I mean, they still make me laugh. And the ultimate thing, that they've gone after this thing and it tastes like crap, right? Like, the Neanderthals will eat anything, but they're very fastidious about it. So I thought it was a good ending to that. The best day of my career is we went into the focus groups in Atlanta, and the 8 to 11-year-old boys came in, and it had already been through the younger groups and the girl group, but the 8.5, I was there for the 8.5, 11 boys, and they turned so they had a knob that was kind of like a happy face and the laughing face and stuff, and just a neutral face, and they just cranked it, like, right off the bat. So it had a huge, I mean, it had a big number. It was a monster number. But the biggest surprise is at the end of the short, they said, "Can we see it again?" And the focus group had said that has never happened, in the focus group. And that was such a great day. It was like, wow, that's exactly what I wanted. I mean, I wanted to, you know, I mean, this is a criticism. I really kind of felt that the Cartoon Network wasn't making shows for kids. They were into being cool more than they were into being warm and funny. Nickelodeon's much funnier than they are typically. I mean, in terms of their shows, they made good shows. I'm not really. It's just a sensibility that they had that I kind of disagreed with. And obviously, that focus group didn't get it over the top. Yeah, I mean, it's based on the show and stuff like that, but still, you have a whole community of animators and animation and cartoon people in LA. I was in Cleveland. You know,
You were kind of like the odd man out.
yeah, I'm kind of the odd man out in a lot of different ways, which is kind of who I am. But I've never worked in LA, and part of it was a choice. I didn't want to be sucked up by that whole community. I wanted to maintain my independence, and I did.
I think I've seen this possibly on your YouTube page. I think maybe you wrote something about it, maybe a comment. Or were you working on like an unreleased film like Cleveland 3000 or something like that?
3000, yeah, Cleveland 3000. Cleveland 3000 was one of those shorts that we never completed. We did a lot of animation on it, but we never completed. It was like if the future was this. So everything is kind of a stupid, like a stupid vision of the future. Like, The Insulter, which is an animated piece where it's like you have something in your car where it insults the person in the other car, because they cut you off or anything.
Huh.
So it's all just stupid technology before technology. And again, this was done in the 90s. This was started in the 90s. We just never finished it. We got busy and never finished it. So yeah, there's several undone short films that I'll never unfortunately get to. I just don't have enough time. So that's the way it is. I'll run out of time.
Yeah, right.
The clock's
I
running
feel
out.
like I feel like that too, man. Like I started working on that pilot, and then I started working on like a children's book called Monsters Under the Bed. And then I started doing a comic book. I'm like, dude, like I got all these projects. I got to get one done.
Yeah, get one done. That is the most important thing I could ever tell a young artist is just get something done. Because once you get something done, you'd be surprised at what momentum you can build. Um, there's a lot of artists that I used to run into, and they would tell me, "Oh, I have a great idea," and it's like, okay, that's good, and then it never got anywhere. And I've had my own great ideas, that never got anywhere. But sometimes you just run into it like this idea is not working the way I thought it would work, and so I abandon it. And that's fine. But finishing's hard. One, because this is your baby, and it goes out in the world, and you got to go like, no, I hope people like it. I hope people enjoy this. Um, you'll get people that criticize it. You'll get people that don't like it. You'll get people that don't understand what you're trying to do. Especially now, there's people that comment even on my YouTube page, and they really don't know. They're guessing, I guess, or I mean, I saw a podcast recently that about Longhair and Doubledome, surprisingly, and they were guessing at the details of things more than knowing the details, and that it doesn't. I mean, it is what the internet does nowadays. A lot of people guess at a lot of different things. So, but if I'm here, you can ask me, and I'll tell you what happened or what the truth is. So. I mean, but the most important thing, again, finish something, just anything. If there's a sense of pride in that too. There's a sense of pride that you take that I did this. I did accomplish this. I did have the guts to say, here, world, what do you think? And once you get over that hump, it's a lot easier to finish after that too, by the way. So, especially in something you really think is worth it.
Okay, yeah, man. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Like, these two projects, I've been working on it for a little while, but I guess, while we're on that topic, so this pilot, I'm thinking maybe it'll be around 12 minutes.
Okay.
It's called Hector and Ozai. Just, before we jump into the next Longhair and Doubledome, so I'm a huge fan of how they used to make pilots and things like I mentioned earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know since then, the industry is it's way different now. And it's hard to get a foot in the door.
It is.
You see cartoon pilots just get uploaded to YouTube that someone worked on for 5, 6 years.
Yep.
Like Set Sail for Candy was a great pilot. I think it took 7 years, and it went up on YouTube. But what would be the best road nowadays, Gav? Like, as far as trying to get a TV show on the air for a cartoon,
I mean,
in your opinion?
so in my opinion, I think what you just, I mean, ultimately, I mean, look, my career started with Lazar. And the reason it started with Lazar is because once, and there wasn't YouTube, but there were theater chains that were, showing cartoons and showing, compilations of these cartoons. And so I got known from that. Okay. I got known, especially professionally, not so much, people, I won a couple of awards, people noticed. Okay. So I could go to a film festival and I could go walk in and I could say, I did Lazar, and people go, oh, I saw that. And that was really cool and everything else like that. And then you have a conversation. I met everyone, I met a lot of people through that. So ultimately, what I would say is I don't think the formula has changed. Now, I'm an old guy, ultimately I may be wrong, okay? But I do believe that if you did put something on YouTube and you went to a festival, you showed that film at festivals and I really do believe that going to a festival is one, a real treat for you to see your film in an audience, but also to meet the people who are there. I met pretty much everyone that I worked with, and people that um, were interested in me pitching shows for television. I met at a film festival. So this is the kind of thing. I mean, there's Comic Cons. If you're doing a comic book, there's but getting something happening online is really ultimately what you have to do. And the difficulty, I think, is getting it in front of people. But there are ways to do that. There are ways, festivals still do, if you have a film, get it out to festivals because you never know who's going to watch that.